There's been a serious temporal incursion. Head to Deep Space Nine and use the wormhole to travel to the Gamma Quadrant as soon as possible. Once we're through the wormhole, we'll be traveling to what becomes the new Khitomer system in the 28th century. It's on the fringe of current Dominion territory, so we should be able to transit in time before they're aware of us.
Temporal Agent Daniels has finally got back in contact with us, looking as rough as he was before. He's been spending his time looking for further signs of the Envoy, the shadowy figure manipulating events from behind the scenes to create his own Temporal Liberation Front, the organisation in opposition to those who signed the Temporal Accords in the 27th century. Now, having been there ourselves, we have a greater understanding of what is at stake, and seeing the Accords interrupted by the Krenim under lead researcher Noye out of vengeance for the meddling in time that our very own actions have caused. Alongside this, we saw the Nakul, ever unhappy at the Accords, seize the disruption to interfere with their own temporal faction under General Vosk, which was dealt with by Captain Archer. The remainder of the Nakul then allied with the Envoy through Krog, who just recently attempted to sabotage the Alliance's first meeting. This seems to be the origin for the Temporal Liberation Front, and we know that the Envoy has made moves to return the Sphere Builders to our realm several times already, again encountered by both Archer and us, and the Envoy also managed to recruit Baratus, one of the two dangerous bounty hunters, after the Toxu Tut, after we killed his mate Arjur. Suffice to say, the Envoy has a bit of a head start, as we're trying to unravel his tale spun throughout time, and he's already been able to set his plans in motion. The further our timeline shifts from Daniels' future, the more warped he physically becomes, as the more in danger of being wiped out he is, and the closer the Envoy comes to asserting the path desired by his factions.
We've lost contact with Temporal Fleet Command. No response to Hale's. Nothing. If the Envoy's Temporal Liberation Front is behind this, we're in trouble. We need to get to New Khitomer and assess the situation. Be ready for anything. There's no telling what could be waiting for us there.
We set a course for the Gamma Quadrant and the location of where New Khitomer will be in the 27th century, but who knows what has happened to the location, as many of the fluctuations in time from the Envoy's efforts have probably shifted the future somewhat from our last visit. Ooh, sunset over New Khitomer. That's ominous. So, as we arrive at New Khitomer, we notice some substantial changes. The system reads Allied energy residue from weapons fire and many Krenim, Nakul and Sphere Builder vessels. Clearly this system has been recently seized from the Galactic Union's members. Are we too late?
Not yet. They haven't fully occupied the sector or the station by the look of things, but we need to move fast. They've shut down the temporal operations relay, so we're on our own. We won't be able to contact our ships in the time stream without it.
With that relay down, eyes on the time stream are lessened too. Who knows how many people took advantage of this.
Once we get the ops relay online again, we'll be able to call in reinforcements and secure the sector. Let's make a surgical strike before they can reinforce their positions.
Surgical strike? Okay, scrub up, the doctor is in. The first obstacle is an Archeros battleship by the Nakul. Having recently encountered those in the future Nakul system, we're aware of how dangerous they can be with their sensor ghosts and dangerous use of shield-eating plasma weapons. We can try to shoot down their missiles before they intercept, but these vessels are tough to deal with if you don't respond quickly to their tricks. Fortunately, we've learned from our recent excursions and are able to blast by it and continue on our way. Next up are 3 Krenim frigates on an intercept course. These vessels are nowhere near as challenging as the prior ship, although they do create pockets of manipulated time stream to mess with our systems. Next up is a Vorgon Itjar cruiser and a Xiphus frigate. These are more standard fare, and despite some Chronoton weaponry, the rest of their loadout is fairly mundane. The TLF's defences of this orbital ring are rather poor. Their forces are taking too long to respond to our incursion, and they're throwing themselves at us one at a time, giving us plenty of breathing room to repair the armature before the next encounter. But perhaps we took them by surprise? After all, they're not the only ones capable of changing time. We fight our way onwards towards the station, taking out the enemy faction vessels before we finally close into transporter range. Their poor defence left us little challenge, and we've left a trail of wreckage in our wake. We arrive at the station and find it unshielded. Possibly they've yet to re-establish their defences since an earlier skirmish, but this hardly meshes with the calculated attacks we've met from the Envoy's forces before. As we beam in, Security Chief Bizarre calls us over and voices what's beginning to creep into my mind too. This is all rather easy. We voice our agreement with Bizarre, who then goes on to say that we're here on Daniels' advice, he's the one with the full picture, and this feels like we're walking into a trap.
I agree. They must know we're here. We fought our way in. Is this a trap? Possibly, but not one of my making. It's simple. The Envoy and his forces need to be stopped right here, right now. Trust me or not, but we need to complete our mission here.
I mean, that's true. You're sticking with us.
There should be a command-level access console in what used to be the main assembly hall. From there, we can get the ops relay back in business.
I think we can trust Daniels. The Envoy's plans are changing Daniels' future to his detriment, after all.
Let's try this door.
The banners and livery of the Galactic Union have been replaced with the crimson of the Temporal Liberation Front and their logo of an Ouroboros encircling a galaxy. None of these doors shift as we approach them, so we're going to have to head deeper.
We're going to have to find another way.
It's not long before we encounter resistance in the form of a Krenim patrol.
Wait, someone's coming from down the hall.
We take cover as best we can, but we're not exactly stealthy in this corridor, so a firefight inevitably breaks out with the enemy forces. On our way, we have 2 optional rooms that are open, one's with a couple of high-ranking TLF members inside. With the western office cleared, we can find a discarded pad on the chair. Reading through it reveals it to be a Krenim log entry, and it sounds like noise words. This must have been his office, the one he was working from while all this was going down. He remembers the researcher Anorax, responsible for Voyager's Year of Hell, and finds it fitting that the Krenim timeship bears his name. So in this future, Noi is fully allied with the Envoy, and this is his base of operations. It also mentions an upcoming battle at Procyon 5.
Enemy reinforcements beaming in at the transporter pads. Let's try one of the consoles for the main doors over there.
With the foyer secured, where not long ago we were guests, we try the main entrance to the hall.
Still no luck. Head for the other side door at the far end of the hallway.
We push on and again encounter resistance in the form of Krenim and Nakul soldiers. This fight drags on a little longer because the Nakul manage to deploy their temporal shielding and echoes of themselves. But it doesn't escape my notice that Daniels is fighting alongside us. Like the far side, there is also an unlocked eastern office that we can enter. This room has several high-ranking Nakul inside. A discarded pad here reads entries from Krog. It is chronicled as after the Galactic Core mission where we destroyed a planet killer and mentions how the Envoy helped the Nakul escape back then. It calls out Archer, Walker, Daniels and Hale as priority targets for the Temporal Liberation Front. It also laments the loss of General Vosk, so we can say this entry occurred after his attempt to alter Earth's history. We finally put down 2 guards at the other end of the hall and find access to the assembly chamber where we should be able to gain control of the Temporal HQ. There is a brief puzzle which is basically a list of prime numbers where you have to pick the next 3 in a series, but other than that, it seems fairly easy to gain access.
Hold your fire. I'd like a word with our guest. You've come so far, done so very much. Time and again, you devastated worlds and civilizations, all in the name of your proper timeline. Today, at Procyon 5, your reign of terror will end. We will be free. You know Krog, of course, and Boratus. But there's one more player to meet before the end. Come in, my dear. Join us.
Don't mind if I do. You're probably wondering why I'm here.
That's Mira Lita.
Funny story. When Archer, our Archer, found the Defiant back in the 22nd century, there was a message in her computer. For my eyes only. It took a while to get to me, but it was worth the wait. It was from our gracious host, telling me that the Defiant wasn't an accident, but his gift. The gift of Empire, and an invitation to more. Seems only fair to repay such generosity with a gift of my own. Enjoy.
Shit, Daniels.
The Terran Empire stands with you, Envoy.
Ha! Welcome, Admiral, and thank you for the fine gift.
Noi! It's you.
I've been waiting for this for such a long time, old friend. Your alliance is lost, and your life is almost at an end. Our destiny awaits us at Procyon 5, my allies. Let us depart.
No! Today, Azure will be avenged by my hand!
You're not the only one seeking justice today, Vorgon.
As you wish. Make them suffer.
Parlay? We'll process what happened in a minute. First off, Boratus and Krog are seemingly picking now to try to stop us. This must be Krog from before she went back to assassinate the Federation President, but we still foiled her at Galactic Core while Boratus... Yeah, I killed Alger, but in my defense, they were trying to steal the Toxitut. This battle starts us in a very inopportune position. The stands and seats make for better cover, but it's not long before my team goes down and I have to sprint around to survive, until I get a breather to heal up. Fortunately, Hale has adopted a salvaged Nakul shield that can temporarily protect him for a time. Kiting the duo around, I'm able to revive several members and continue the fray. It seems like during the skirmish, Boratus is taken out once and for all. I Didn't see who got the final blow, but it wasn't me. With him and his explosives gone, Krog makes for a much more manageable threat, and we take her out with a bit of effort. With them finally taken out, we turn to the fallen Daniels to see if there's anything we can do. But he's dead. The damage to him from the twisted time is too much, and the phaser shots finished him off. We beam his corpse back to the Armiger while we reinitialize the Temporal Operations relay station and open up all the locks. With the station back under our control, we can alert the time agencies to this alteration and call in allies. So, Noye was the Envoy all along. His form was twisted by the paradox of him operating from this timeline, and that twist was gradually being unwound as he steered events towards the TLF's victory, simultaneously undoing Daniels' future too. But with Daniels gone, there goes our divining rod. Still, we've managed to call out for allies. Let's be back up to the Armiger and see what awaits us. Exactly how Noye managed to become the Envoy still requires some thought, but I can see why it would be him, although there is doubt that the Envoy here is the same as the shadowy figure encountered by Archer. But this Noye is bent on undoing the Temporal Accords to reunify with the Tutarians and maybe even his wife, Clouda. Vengeance is a powerful emotion, but even more so when motivated by love. And now he's fished the Terrans out of their universe to help him.
Well, well. You really did a number on poor Krog and Baradas. I have to say, I'm more than a little impressed. Between you and me, I think the Vorgons are upset with you. Enjoy!
As Lita finishes her taunt, Vorgon ships warp in, flanking the ISS Enterprise. But I'm more concerned by the Terran flagship. Lita's Enterprise appears to be an Odyssey-class ship, which is a dangerous vessel of similar build to the Armiger, and confirms our fears from the Tholians' Nukara system.
Let's deal with these terrorists.
For a refresher, the Tholians there had caught a Terran universe incursion and had captured an Odyssey-class vessel. So unfortunately, the Terran Empire seems to have acquired the schematics to one of the most powerful Federation ships. Before we can get to it though, we're going to have to deal with the Vorgon ships. Fortunately, 29th century Federation reinforcements have also arrived.
Bringing friends, are you? Well, I have friends to bring too. Comms, hail the Nakul fleet! Their deadly nemesis is here.
Commander, the USS Tempest is at your disposal.
What else you got?
Oh, in a word, ouch. You wiped those poor fools out with almost Terran efficiency. Aren't you supposed to be from the good universe? Oh well. Perhaps the Krenim will get the job done.
We saw the temporal beacon and came as soon as we could.
You're slaughtering all my freedom fighters, killer. Up for a real challenge. Comms, call our fleet. Now.
Having been creeping ever closer to the stationary ISS Enterprise and dealing with her allies, Terran ships warp in either side of our forces. We've been drawn into a pincer attack. Should have seen it coming. We continue to cleave a path through the Terran fleet, heading for the Enterprise and the amassing fleet of Temporal Liberation Front ships. If we can just get to Noye and kill that man, this could be over. Eventually, Sphere Builder ships 2 are brought into the fray.
Captain Walker here. These are all the ships we can spare. Let's do this.
All ships hold. There are too many of them.
We outpace the others in our pursuit of the ISS Enterprise, but it joins up with the larger amassed fleet of the TLF.
What's wrong? I thought you wanted to catch me.
Enough, Lita. Our battle is at Procyon 5, not here. All ships, set course, now!
Ta-ta! Until next time.
Sorry we didn't get here sooner. How bad was it?
Shut up, we can still make them. We need to stop them before they reach Procyon. They killed Daniels.
I'm sorry, he was a good man. The war was taking a heavy toll on him, particularly the Battle of Procyon 5. The enemy keeps attacking us there, and they're getting stronger each time. Each Alliance victory has come with a higher price, for Daniels especially.
Are you talking about the temporal deformities? What do you mean they keep attacking you there? In fact, you could say the Battle of Procyon 5 is better described as the battles of Procyon 5. The shifting timelines often converge here in a climactic battle.
Yes, he was a crucial figure in the battle, at the heart of it every time, barely surviving in some cases. And now, he's gone. We might not be able to win it without him.
As the last of the TLF fleet time jumps away, we power down our impulse drives. Daniels would want us to intercept them. So that's what I'm going to do. But first, we've got to return to our home century to report in and take stock. Upon delivering our report, we're confronted with a face we've not seen for a long time. Captain Chekhov, a fellow native of the 23rd century and recruited by the Time Agency, is there to debrief us. We've not partnered up with him since our first temporal outings.
Noy and his allies have engaged Alliance forces at Procyon 5 in the 26th century. Your work at New Khitomer allowed us to summon our ships to the battle, but they may not arrive in time. The combined power of the enemy fleet may be more than we can handle. Join the Alliance fleet as soon as you can. We must face the enemy and we must win, or all of history will be lost.
For now, we pull in at Deep Space Nine to rearm and resupply before the inevitable confrontation with Noy. And it seems apt that this next episode, the Battle of Procyon 5, will be episode 100 of the story series. So, I hope to see you back then, as we conclude the Temporal War arc of Star Trek Online. And then we'll continue to explore the ever-expanding narrative of Star Trek Online. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you then for episode 100. Oh, jeez. Until then, goodbye, and thanks for watching.